When Emily first saw the house on Elm Street, she was drawn to its worn charm. It was the perfect project, a fixer-upper with character, a bargain she couldn't resist. The price was too good to be true. The realtor, a man who looked like he'd seen one too many rainy days, warned her. "It has a history. Old houses do, you know." But she brushed it off. People always said that. They always told her to stay away from the old places. The walls had secrets, they said. But Emily wasn't afraid of stories. That night she moved in. The house had an eerie stillness, a silence that seemed too heavy to be natural. At first it was just the creaks of the floorboards, the groan of old wood stretching. But as midnight drew near, something else stirred in the darkness. A whisper. It was faint at first, barely a murmur. Emily, lying in bed, heard it, but wasn't sure if it was her imagination or just the house settling. She pulled the covers closer and closed her eyes, but the whisper came again. "Emily!" Her heart skipped a beat. She sat up in bed, wide-eyed, listening. There it was again, soft, delicate, almost pleading. Her name. "Emily!" The voice whispered again, this time clearer, more insistent. Her breath caught in her throat. The voice sounded so close, yet the room was empty. The shadows flickered with a strange chill, and the air felt thick, suffocating. She couldn't explain it, but the voice felt familiar. A strange, gut-wrenching familiarity, like it was calling her from deep within the house. Shaking, she slipped out of bed and tiptoed down the hallway. The sound was coming from somewhere deeper in the house. It seemed to pull her forward, drawing her into the old study room at the end of the hall, a room she had avoided since moving in. The door creaked as she pushed it open, the darkness inside swallowing her whole. As soon as she stepped in, the temperature dropped. A cold, unnatural chill filled the space. The room smelled of dust and something else, something musty, like decay. And then she heard it again. "Emily!" The whisper was coming from the walls. Her breath caught in her throat. The walls weren't just creaking, they were speaking in hushed tones, fragments of words growing louder with each passing second. "Emily!" The walls began to ripple as if something was moving inside her. She stumbled back, eyes wide with terror, her pulse pounding in her ears. The wallpaper in the corner of the room buckled. The air grew thick with a sense of hunger. Then with a sickening crack, a hand, no, a claw, burst through the wall. Pale, skeletal, it reached for her. Its fingers were thin, covered in cracked, yellowed skin, the nails like jagged bones scraping against the plaster. The whispers intensified, now an overwhelming cacophony, a frenzy of voices all calling her name. "Emily, come closer. We've been waiting." Her breath caught in her throat as the hand tugged her toward the wall. She screamed, struggling to break free, but it was too strong. Her body was being pulled in, inch by inch, into the gaping crack in the wall. The whispers were louder now, overlapping. She could hear them all, dozens, hundreds of voices coming from deep within the house. Each one was filled with longing, each one wrapped in a sorrow so deep it felt like it would drown her. "Emily," they called. "Come home." In a final desperate attempt, she yanked herself free, throwing herself backwards into the hallway. She scrambled to her feet, her heart hammering against her ribs, the voices still calling her, echoing through the house. But the door slammed shut behind her. The house was silent once again. For the rest of the night, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that the house wasn't done with her. The whispers continued, but now they were more than voices. They were shadows. They were memories. Memories of those who had lived here before and never left. As she lay in bed, eyes wide open, the whispers didn't stop. They were inside her now. She could hear them in the walls, in the floors, in the very air she breathed. And she realized with a sickening certainty, the house was alive, hungry, waiting for the next soul to claim. And they had already found hers.